and this is near Chengdu. Now, what is interesting, this was 2,300 years old structure. It's still functioning.
一位受邀访华的巴基斯坦前政策制定者发现，很多人想学中国，却先把中国读错了。中国为什么能够持续推进建设？答案绝不只是强硬治理4个字。今天就听他把这层误读说开。
A Pakistani banker, a former policymaker, a writer from Shanghai in China. Javed, I come straight to the point. Why are you in China?
Thank you very much, Mohit. It's a pleasure being on your show. I'm in China because I was invited by Sichuan University to talk in a closed-door discussions about Pakistan. This is a friend of mine and a colleague who's the associate dean there. He invited me, and it was a closed-door policy discussions and just an update on Pakistan economy and situation. But I have a long-running interest in China, also a connection with China. Last year, I was invited by Fudan University as senior fellow, visiting fellow, and I maintain my contacts with the professors, the academics there. So that's really the reason I've taken this opportunity to do travelogue across China. So Chengdu, where I was invited, Sichuan University, I started off there. I obviously spent quite a bit of time talking with colleagues there in the university, but after that I've taken a few days off and decided to come first to the Anhui province, Hefei, which is a technical city, which is a high-tech city. That's where a lot of the AI development is taking place, EV development is the villages nearby, and now making my way back through various cities in China, including Nanjing, Shanghai, Xi'an, back to Chengdu, and then I'm going to Lhasa on the 15th.
Very interesting.
On CPEC too. But
Javed, is this dialogue a recurring, running institutional feature, or is this a new thing? How many people participate in this dialogue? I mean, are they all Pakistanis and Chinese, or there are other people part of this dialogue?
There are many other people. I must say, I'm not the only person they invite. This is a regular series of individuals, scholars, policymakers, the universities. I have to add that Sichuan has the largest South Asia center and has considerable number of scholars who look at South Asia. And this is not just Pakistan, but also India, Nepal, Sri Lanka. There are a number of PhD students there who I had the chance to interact with. And they'll look at this place at our region very closely. The one thing one has to understand about China, this is a very academically oriented society.
Academically oriented society. What does it mean?
It means it places a lot of premium on scholastics. It tries to understand countries. Unlike in Pakistan, I would say in Pakistan there's virtually no China expert who knows Chinese language extremely well. There might be one or two, I know one name, but name similar to mine, but there are very few people who would know the entrails, the details, the history, the background of China, what makes these people tick, what makes this country govern itself in the manner it has. That is something missing. But here you'd find at least 20 scholars who would know the details about Pakistan, about India, about Sri Lanka, and then you have probably hundreds of PhD students who are looking at the region. And I must say, this is not just South Asia, which is neighboring. They have similar sort of scholastic attitudes. And I have to say, these scholars are advisors to the NDRC, to the Politburo. Some of their policy advice apparently reaches right up to Xi Jinping.
Interesting. What do you think about the China Center, which the former Senator Mushahid Hussain Saeed, I don't know if he's still the senator or not, but he established, his son was very active with it. They frequently traveled to China. They invited the Chinese experts and scholars. I mean, what do you think of the China Center's role?
To be honest, I don't know enough. I think they're probably doing a commendable job. But I don't think for a start there's anyone there who's actually conversant in Chinese.
Okay.
If if you're going to be a China expert, and I immediately put up my hand, I'm not a China expert, don't even pretend to be one, don't even come close to one, you need to know the Chinese language. Unless you know the Chinese language, you won't understand the texture, the feelings, what moves it, the poetry, the history that goes behind. You will have a glimpse of it, but you can't really get that complete texture, the granularity of what makes this society tick. And that, I think, to a large extent, is missing in probably Pakistan.
What about the premier institution, National Defense University in Islamabad, which, do you think they have expertise on China?
I would say I don't know enough about NDUs, so I would hesitate to talk about it. But from what I have seen and what I've seen written in public discourse, there doesn't seem to be much expertise. I'll tell you how I come to that conclusion. There's very often talk in Pakistan about the China model.
Right.
And it's said very glibly, very easily, and very often that is meant to be taken as an authoritarian model, a coercive model is a China model. It's far from that. China model is something which the Chinese, when you tell them about it, that Pakistan wants to adopt the China model, they laugh. They say simply, it's not possible. What are you talking about? It has taken 3,000 years of history to bring us where we are. There is Taoism, there's Confucianism, there's legalism, there's the history of 100 years of humiliation by the European powers, the colonial powers. There's the Boxer Revolution, then there's nationalist period, then the fight with Japanese. Everything has had a role in framing how the Chinese think, how they see the world, how they frame it for the future, and how they see their society and where it should be. And it's a society, as I said, which is very deeply embedded in valuing scholastic thought. This is one of the first societies that developed what you call policymakers, bureaucrats, mandarins, by and large, used to run China. And that was very much different. So the highest attainment in China, in traditional China, was not being a billionaire. Even today, probably billionaires are liked and people probably envy them. But the highest attainment was being a scholar.
Interesting.
The scholar was the highest.
So basically, when the Pakistani military, the top military brass and the general headquarters think that they want to run Pakistan with a strict hand, and it would be like the Chinese model, a sense of direction from the top. You think this is not the thing with China is? China is different.
China is very different. I mean, we have to understand there are many layers in China. The Communist Party is obviously dominant. But the Communist Party depends very much on the legitimacy among the people. It is very careful about the fact that it constantly seeks legitimacy in terms of delivering to the people. That's why if the growth rate slows down, if poverty is not reduced, if amenities are not provided, the Communist Party is extremely concerned. So there is this constant need to go back to the people and seek legitimacy. Now, you might say, as the Chinese say when you talk to the academics here, it is democracy with Chinese characteristics. And within the Communist Party, there's considerable element of what may come meritocracy for a start, but there is an element of democracy as well. So really, it doesn't seem anything like a top-down, we know it all sort of authoritarian state in the way that people imagine it to be. It turns towards, because China has had a history of sometimes having very authoritarian model, and it has proven to be disastrous for the country.
So, correct me if I'm wrong. I thought that the present Chinese model is basically a creation of the Chinese Communist Revolution and the Civil War of 1948-49 and the Cultural Revolution of Mao Zedong. He said that no, the historical layers are there, part of this administrative and political structure.
I think one can't see a country without understanding its culture, its societal norms. And the societal norms are very much driven by many of the ideas of Confucius. So Confucianism is very deeply embedded in this society. the sort of family coherence of being a good person, of being responsible. These all drive from, in our part of the world, we might say from Islamic values, but they have a very strong sense of, and this does not come from a sense of retribution that if you don't do good, you'll go to hell. It is the way of life. So you have to be honest because that is a better way of life. You lead a better life. You have to be hardworking because that is a better way of life in this life. It is said that China is one of the few countries that did not have the concept of God. Yes, there's Buddhism, but there was no central deity which China for so many thousand years hasn't had. So this is a society where the culture, the norms, the philosophy is very much embedded. Even Mao Zedong, even though he may have been a communist and he may have quoted Marx, he very much always reflected on the Confucian thoughts. There's other thoughts, absolutely. This is one of the great surprises when you come here. In private conversations over Beiju, which is their local alcoholic brew, the conversations are as open, as frank as you'd get in New York, anywhere in some of the restaurants or wherever else you have a discussion. They're as critical, as analytical as you'd get anywhere in a Western country. And moreover, they don't need to tap their shoulders. They don't need to use hidden code. They speak very openly. So this is a society quite contrary to sort of Western perception, does talk, is very critical of its own government at times. Yeah, absolutely. So this is quite contrary to, we have this idea of open society and West being an open society and China not being an open society. Absolutely not. I've talked to PhD students. I've talked to various students. Some of them, they're very critically expressed their views about not only the state and how it goes. One of the great problems that some of my interlocutors, the people I'm talking to, the friends I have here, one of the great concerns is that China has done remarkably well from sort of 1990s to present time. It has sort of from early 2000, it has to present 2018, 2015, it grew by about 9.3%, which is never in history. Never in history in one generation has sort of having a poverty rate of about 60%, 50%. They've brought it down to near zero, extreme poverty. Now, never, it hasn't happened in any other country. Yet, people are very concerned here at this moment. They feel that we have done incredibly well right now, and this doing well has come about partly because Europe has been, and America, the Western world has been very open, has allowed us to export, has allowed us to interact, has allowed us to learn from them. Many of the Chinese scholars presently in China were actually trained either in America or Europe or went there for education. And they're very concerned that we might not have that access any longer. So there is this concern there. There's also this concern that while Chinese are incredibly good at taking things from 1 to 100 and extremely fast, where they might be lacking is going from 0 to 1. And that's an important concept to appreciate because America is extremely good in the new innovation, the going from 0 to 1, that sense of, whether it's Elon Musk or Apple or that sense of discovery of innovation, which is a hallmark of America. The Chinese, probably I feel quite incorrectly, feel that they might be lacking that. And that might have...
They might be lacking that. I was discussing with two American neuropsychiatrists this thing, that what society will be more creative. And they actually had a long pause and they said ultimately the American society has to be creative because there's free thinking. Americans question everything. I mean, look at the Iran war. I mean, the American left, the American liberals, the American papers have totally taken a position against the American government. So the free thinking itself is creativity. Is this what they feel? They don't really have the American way of free thinking.
There is concern about that, but this is the good thing. There is concern about it, and there's discussion about it. even in some of the top universities. And there's also thought that we might be working our students too hard. They're focused too much on just getting grades and passing, rather than being creative and being slightly radical and slightly different. That sense of creativity. So I'm very confident that they will find a way out of this. And you can see there's a university I visited, which is quite amazing, and is a place people have to go. That's where Deep Seek came out of, or alumni from that Zhejiang University. And there you have, again, if you go to the environment, the university environment, they've very deliberately created it in a way which is very hospitable, very fun. There's lakes, there's parks, there's places to play. So they're quite deliberately trying to create that environment. But the culture, you have to remember, in one generation where there was extreme poverty, to now to being a place where per capita GDP is about a quarter or 25th of America, is remarkable progress. I'll give you an example. So my friend who invited me first year, he lives, and I went to his village a few days back. A remarkable place. I have to say, the village is still a village. There are paddy fields across. He told me about how in the morning he'd wake up and first go with his father, because they wake up 4:35 with the sun, go to the paddy field, work on the paddy field, and then go to school. And he said till 1985, there was no electricity in the village. Today, if you go to the village, there's BMWs parked out there. There's the latest BYD. There's electricity. There's every modern facility. All the roads are paved. The one thing you'll find in China constantly, anywhere, is spotless cleanliness. So, Gandhi might have said cleanliness is godliness, but he would have been incredibly happy in China. It's clean, and then the amount of, this is a place, and this again, friend relates this to me. He said that very often they would eat, and I've met of that generation, say those who are about 45, 50, those who were, said we have known periods where we would have not eat for 2 days. They have known not starvation or not famine, but they have known starvation. Virtually anyone who has been 50, 55, probably late 40s, they have known starvation. So, but now you go across, and in fact, it's one of the things I felt, that the tables are full with 10 different dishes, and often the food is much more than what is consumed, so it probably is being wasted. So this is a land of plenty. So there's been remarkable progress.
这段对话最有价值的地方是贾维德·哈桑先把学中国这件事拆开了。他在节目里的判断当然不能替代一套统计，也不能替中国下一个没有问题的结论。可他提醒我们，许多讨论一上来就问中国够不够强硬，或者能不能复制某一套做法，这个问题本身已经把中国压缩得太简单了。他在访华中注意到的第一点是，理解对象本身也是一种能力。研究一个国家，不是只看新闻摘要和一两份报告，还要尽可能懂它的语言、历史、社会习惯，以及人们如何解释自己的选择。这样做未必保证判断永远正确，却能少一点拿自己的经验套别人。对一个大国来说，能不能把这种理解带进研究、交流和决策，决定了面对问题时是在和真实世界打交道，还是在和想象中的标签打交道。第二点是，建设能力从来不是一句口号，它要有长期目标，也要有把目标拆成工程、组织和具体交付的办法，更要让结果不断接受生活中的检验。公共服务有没有改善？城市能不能运转？产业能不能把事情做出来？人们遇到问题有没有渠道看到变化？这些才是发展能力最难也最不该被省略的部分。原片里还有一个值得保留的细节，哈桑谈到他接触过的一些中国学生、学者和朋友也会谈开放、教育和创新上的焦虑，这些都是他的个人见闻，不能放大成全国结论。但他说明，一种有生命力的建设不是把问题藏起来，或把过去的成就当成终点，而是承认新的难题，继续寻找下一步怎么做。所以本期不把中国模式说成一件可以带走的成品，也不把它说成一个制度标签。 中国值得被重新理解的地方，在于长期积累的历史记忆、研究能力、组织执行和结果反馈能够在现实里接上。外界如果只盯着一条命令、一项工程或一个政治词，就很容易错过这条连接。看中国，先别急着问它像不像谁，先看它能不能把复杂问题做成一件件长期运行、普通人看得见的事。